Go.
Once upon a time there were 4 little rabbits, and the names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, Maisy," said old Beatrix Rabbit one morning, "you may go to the stairs up down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. His father had an accident there. He was putting a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out." So old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went for Loretta the baker. The brown buns and 5 great buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, went straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and square under the goats.
So pleased.
Under the goats. First he ate some lettuces and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes, and then feeling rather sick, what's like some parsley. Put onion and a cucumber, shitty meat. Pat Mr. McGregor. Mr. McGregor was his plenty of young cabbages. But he jumped out and ran up to Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most gently frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages and the other shoe amongst the potatoes, and washed it into a shed and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it hadn't had so much water in it. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendless sparrows who flew to him and great excitement and implored him to exert himself. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed. That's what the flower pot. He began to tell them very carefully, looking into each. Suddenly, Peter sneezed, "Ka-chissy!" Mr. McGregor was after him in no time and tried to put his foot on Peter, who jumped out of the window. It set him free plant. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was trembling with fright. He had a lot of idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. After a time, he wanted to go lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking all round. He found a door in the wall. It was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out of his own doorstep, throwing peas and beans to their family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she has a very large bee in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled.
4.5 minutes.
Then he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish, sat very, very still. But now and then a tip of the tail twitched every time alive. Peter thought it was best to go away without speaking to her. he'd heard about Cat with his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard a noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter stubbornly amongst the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly up the wheelbarrow, started running as far as he could go. All the blackcurrant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught Cyrus on the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. So he flopped down on a nice end of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. He wondered what he'd done to his clothes. It was the second little nugget of embarrassing that Peter was last in a fortnight. It was true to say that Peter did not remember well. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and he gave a dose it to Peter. One tablespoon would be taken by bedtime, but Flopsy Mopsy got her bread and milk and blackberries for supper.
That was exactly 7 minutes.